Hello and welcome to another episode of The Bookie and the Beano, where we discuss the debits and credits of being an accountant or bookkeeper in the digital world we operate in today. I'm Kane Munro, owner of Active Outsourcing and Accountancy Online, and with me, as always, is Diane Lucas, superstar bookkeeper, consultant and owner of Direct Management.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Yourself, Kane?
Good, good. Well, did some Googling on the weekend, Di, and I was just Googling dodgy bookkeepers. You're a superstar bookkeeper, so this is nothing to do with your good self. But
what prompted that, Kane?
A news article you sent me about a bookkeeper who'd allegedly defrauded, it's not even allegedly, she's been convicted.
She's been convicted.
Okay, so she defrauded her client of $1.2 million.
Over what period of time?
Not long. I would have thought it would be enough that you'd notice if you were the client, but clients don't seem to notice these things. Not that I've done this personally, but the clients seem a bit oblivious to this. They trust the bookkeeper and the accountant, their advisors, to do the right thing, and often, or sometimes, it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah, no, totally. And that's the bit that actually scares the pants off me, is that how many of these actually go unnoticed.
Yeah, or just not even ever picked up. You'd think as a client, depending on what this looks like, 1.2 million, that's a lot of money. So even if it's over 4 years, it works out to be a significant amount of money on a weekly basis.
It's a cream. It's the business's cream. I mean, that sort of money disappearing out of a business affects the business so significantly that they can't grow. They're just. I don't know, it's such a hamstring on them. I just don't understand how that cannot be unnoticed.
Yeah, not noticed at all. I guess, again, if you're relying on the advice of a bookkeeper or an accountant to be doing the right thing and provide you with that advice, you may not know any better if you're really just involved in running the business and just the finances are being looked after by X person or Y person, I guess. But, man, that's a lot of money.
Well, if you're running a business, even in day one when you first start to run a business, yes, you're concentrating on getting that business going and everything like that. But at the end of the day, you're running a business. Surely you must have a handle on what that business is doing. And if you don't, well, why don't you? I mean, if you don't want to know what's going on in your business, be an employee.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, when I got my first part-time jobs, I used to know pretty much to every cent where all my money went. So if somebody kind of tried to defraud me by taking a couple of bucks out of my wallet, I'd know, because it would say that I had $2.23 because there was 2 and 1 cent pieces back then, Di. I knew where all my money was.
And what about the the taxes that came out that the banks, the government actually took out? There was I can't remember what the taxes are. It wasn't just bank fees, but there were little taxes that came out.
Right.
And so you'd think, look at your bank balance, and you'd go, oh, but it's 25 cents short from what I expected, and there you go. It was a tax from the government, which I think they pulled. That was many years ago. But I get exactly what you're saying, and so business owners say that they've got a gut feel for how the business is going, but if your gut feel is saying it's doing one thing, and then the bank balance is saying the other, well, it's often very well explained by the general ignorance of a business owner around their financial statements and their payments to what they might owe on the liabilities and things accounts for the cash flow deficit. But if it can't be as clearly as explained as that, there's got to be other reasons for it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly right. It's a weird one. As a tax agent, you can have a client's refund deposited into your bank account, and you can have other monies put into a trust account. We don't operate a trust account, so we never receive client monies. So that's one way I could see that a tax agent does something a little bit dodgy around those sort of things. We actually had one where a self-managed superannuation fund, which we were doing the administration for, we wound it up because the client wanted it wound up. So that bank account had been closed. They were due a refund from the HO, and they closed the bank account before it hit their bank account. So it ended up in ours. We had to go back to the ATO and actually try to identify where that money came from. But there'd be nothing if you were a little bit shady. You just go, well, it's end up in my trust account and their fund's finished. I'll just pocket that.
Yeah, absolutely. But the other part too is the example just said. This bookkeeper is now in jail for 4 years. I sort of query, is 4 years sufficient? 1.2 million out of a business is really, really huge. And is 4 years actually a sufficient deterrent? But we've also got a couple of clients where we've had them. They've had previous bookkeepers that have taken money out of those businesses, and so we've taken over now and basically had to assure them that we're trustworthy. And the amount of effort we've had to go through to actually gain that trust, is huge. And, clearly, we are trustworthy. But the other part is that, these business owners don't go down the process of having, the person arrested or anything like that, and they may, negotiate some sort of other external settlement.
Baseball bat?
Yeah, I wish. But no, I mean, in this particular case, I'm thinking, there was $250,000 or something, so it's only a small business, but $250,000
that's
over,
a lot of money.
yeah, exactly, $250,000 over even 2 years. Again, it's the cream of the crop. This is the stuff that people usually want to bank and grow their business with, or go on holidays with, or whatever, and it's missing from the business. And so the negotiation to repay that fund is $50 a month.
$50 a month on $250. Well, how long is that going to take to repay?
Oh, I have no idea. But I mean, it's just, how does that even become a negotiated settlement amount?
No, I have no idea. And that was the only thing that was resolved, that they just have to repay the money at $50 a month.
That's right.
There's no other legal sanction, or because they didn't want to pursue it.
They didn't want to pursue it.
Why wouldn't they pursue that?
I have no idea. And this is the thing that's it's really scary then, is that if it hasn't been pursued, well, for a start, more than likely those people are not registered agents. If they're a registered agent, well, at least the TPB is going to pursue it and cancel their registration. But if they're not registered, if they're an employee of a business, there's really nothing stopping them from being employed by somebody else.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I still can't get over the fact that they didn't actually pursue it any more than sort of a couple of bucks a month.
Well, legal costs and all that sort of stuff. And
I had a business deal which kind of went a little bit south, and I was maybe in the hole for $20,000. I pretty much stalked the person I was involved with until they gave me some kind of answer. Like, it's only $20,000. Multiply that by 10.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do if it was.
Well, you'd notice it before it actually happened to that point, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Wow.
But that's a bit that I keep coming back to is a business owner. As a business owner, you cannot abdicate your responsibility of being a business owner. And effectively, what these business owners are doing is doing, business by abdication. So they go out and do their sales and generate new business and do whatever their business is, but they're actually not taking responsibility for the other aspects of their business, which is, the compliance aspects and just, keeping tabs.
Okay, so from a bookkeeping perspective, how do you dealing with client funds? So if you actually have to run an ABA file, or if you need to pay particular, I'm assuming you do that as a bookkeeping service, you pay stuff on behalf of clients from their bank account. What systems do you have in place internally to, release that sort of thing? It is
an interesting one, and different sort of processes for different employers. But at the end of the day, if we've got access to clients' bank accounts, often it's, or more often than not, it's actually our own access. So we've been set up with access. And that's the right way to go. But at the same time too, when we talk to our clients, or at that point as being a prospect, we state to them that it's just not in our interest to take funds from them, because one, we'd be out of business, and two, unless you've got many millions in your account, it's really not worth our while.
Yeah, no, fair enough too. Well, you think obviously cloud-based software, internet banking, you'd think fraud would have increased in the last 10 or 15 years as things have gone digital. Where previously, when you were taking some money down to the bank and you were reconciling things on a T-Ledger or a Kalamazoo, or maybe a CDF MIOB. It would have been a lot harder to commit fraud, where I think fraud these days seems like it would be an easier thing for somebody who is that way inclined to action. Well,
the way it's being done now, and still similar to how it was back in the day, people would change the name of the supplier being paid on the cheque, the old handwritten cheque. But now it's just changed the BSB from an ABA file.
Well, it's funny actually. I was sitting on a panel with a guy from the ATO in December last year, and he was talking about scammers and people calling up. He's a deputy commissioner at the ATO, and one of those sort of tax fraudster groups out there called him and said, "Oh, you need to buy X gift voucher from Y shop to pay your tax bill." So for individuals out there, my nana got a phone call and she was really shaken up by it. So, and yeah, they're everywhere now.
I was shopping in Coles on the weekend, and they've actually got a little sign at the cash register saying something about the tax fraud and buying gift vouchers and stuff. So it's a sticker on their cash registers now, sort of saying, this is not a real thing, it's a scam, yada yada yada. So it is definitely a big thing.
So don't buy vouchers and only 1 tin of baby formula per person.
Yeah. Absolutely. But then the other part too, which sort of ties in with this, is the aspect of what happens when so what we've been talking about is taking funds from a client. But what happens if you're actually complicit to other aspects of dodgy stuff happening in the business? So say, for example, payroll activities where the employer is underpaying employees. So there's a thing called accessorial liability that bookkeepers and accountants should be aware of. So accessorial liability is where you're complicit with, if you're aware that your employer or the employer that you're or the business owner that you're working with is not doing the right thing, then you as the agent can be held liable, and the fines and penalties associated with that are even more hefty than when the actual business owner gets taken.
Well, this is the Australian cricket team, isn't it? Like this is almost a Steve Smith rule, where the captain of the Australian cricket team in South Africa, one of the junior players, would be slightly instructed to rub sandpaper on the ball. The junior player got sort of a 9-month ban, and the 2 senior players who didn't stop it, one of them might have directed, but the other one certainly didn't stop it, ended up with 12-month bans. So it's, again, like if you're complicit in things which are happening in a business, then yeah, you should be probably on the hook. You're an advisor who's being paid to, I guess, keep things on track, and there's guidelines from the HO and the Tax Agents Board and every sort of regulatory board there is out there. Yep. You're a professional. Act professionally.
Absolutely, and it comes down to the fact that if you are aware of these changes, you need to these issues with payroll specifically, then it needs to be flagged back to the employer. And we've got we sort of had a couple of experiences with our clients where we've said in no uncertain terms, fix it up, or we're not going to be able to do your books anymore.
Yeah, no client is worth that risk. There's no client in anyone's book of clients that's worth going to jail for.
That's right, and that's what we say to them in no uncertain terms, is exactly that. Is that we're operating under a code of conduct, and as we're aware that the situation is X, Y, Z. This is not part of the Fair Work standards. Yada yada yada. So this needs to be sorted out. So you need to sort it out, otherwise we're going to no longer be able to retain you in our services.
Well, I'm going back to something you said before, Di, about 4 years maybe not being enough for fraud. 4 years to me sounds like a lot of time for stealing money, where if you run into somebody on the street or you go to the pub and you get into a fist fight, like, you maybe get a good behaviour bond. Like, it's crazy that people go to jail for defrauding an amount, but you do need that deterrent to stop it just becoming more rife, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, well, it is a good deterrent, but when you think about, like, yes, if you king hits somebody or whatever, and that's really really bad, and yes, I agree that often the penalties aren't significant enough in those sort of circumstances either. But it's about consequences and actions. Every action has a consequence, and when we teach our kids that. So at the end of the day, we're professionals, as you said before. So
yeah, well, so I have a tax agent that I used to work for who's in jail at the moment for defrauding the government from the R&D, the R&D grant stuff. It was in the newspapers last year. I'm not sure how long he's in there for. I legitimately just saw it online when I think it was Accountants Daily might have put it out. He defrauded about $350,000, maybe $500,000 around R&D. I had no idea it was going on. And he's in jail for, I think it's 18 months to 2 years. So
again, it's, I guess, a difference between stealing from the government and stealing from an individual. Heavier penalties.
No repaying $50 a month then, I think.
Yeah, but that's an interesting one too, is, the R&D grants. I've had clients who seem to have, or their ex-clients now, they went under. So not surprisingly, but they seem to have every year they would get a significant R&D grant, and their accountant...
Well, yeah, there's certainly accountants there who specialise in R&D, and some of them even take a percentage of the R&D claim they get back. So if you're a business out there looking at R&D and a client, an accountant or not a bookkeeper in this case, an accountant says, "I will take a percentage of what we can get back," I'd naturally think that's going to be an aggressive sort of claim.
You'd think that too, exactly. But I'm the R&D grants that happen each year for 10, 15 years. I sort of query those ones as well as to how long does R&D actually go for. And they're the ones that probably get flagged as well.
Yeah, we don't even take clients on who've got R&D now. They go, "Oh, can you help with R&D?" I go, "I'm not an expert. If you want an expert, I can refer you to 2 or 3 people who just do R&D stuff. They know it. I don't want anything to do with it because I don't want any of that sort of accessorial sort of liability if I do something which is not right, because I don't understand the rules." So you also need to know what you're good at and what you're not good at, so you're not giving advice which is maybe assisting in something which is dodgy.
Well, it comes back to niching then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doing what you do best.
Or pulling a dodgy. You do have a website up here, Di, which you'd sent through previously. Is this a bookkeeper or an accountant?
It's a combination of bookkeeping and accounting.
Which we've discussed before and is maybe sometimes never ideal. Some of the text on their website is kind of bizarre from a professional point of view. What's it say here, Dan? Pull in dodgies.
It's one of the things that they do.
Yeah, I've listed on there we do individual tax returns, SMSF work, we assist businesses, but pulling dodgies, we pull the best dodgies, cash dodgies, criminal dodgies, narcotic dodgies, police warrant dodgies, even spouse dodgies. We pull all the dodgies at this particular firm. Like, I get a bit of lightheartedness and jokes and stuff, but that's kind of a bit unprofessional.
And that's what they're sort of saying is we're lighthearted, humorous and fun. And I'm with you on that one, Kane. If I was a business owner looking at that, I would probably go, maybe that's the right accountant for me.
But even that, I go, well, surely you can't write that. Like, surely if you're a CPA, a chartered accountant, registered tax agent, I'm sure you can't have that on your website.
Yeah, it's just not professional, full stop. And it's very, very scary because, people are actually being led in to use their services. I don't know what they're actually providing, but...
it looks like they're providing dodgies.
It does, doesn't it? But it is, again, based on what we've just been talking about. I mean, how does that actually fit in with everything? And is that a business or a firm that is actually advocating that doing the wrong thing and defrauding the government is a good thing? I don't know.
Yeah, I just hope they've got good internal systems in place for when a client who's seen this on a website comes in and just goes, "Well, I was looking to do a cash dodgy, how can you help?" That actually it doesn't happen. Yeah,
no, it's very, very odd. But anyway, you just got to make sure as a business owner that you do your due diligence as well and look after your own businesses. Make sure that you are responsible, and for goodness sake, check out the people that you're actually employing. Make sure that they are do a police check on them if you want to. Make sure that your advisors are actually registered agents. Don't use your mum. Just if your mum recommends a bookkeeper because it looks like she's happy with the website, maybe you should do a bit of your own research as well.
That's like the old tax advice at a family barbecue. "Oh, my uncle said that I can claim X or Y. What do you think of that?" Well, no. What's your uncle do? What's your uncle do? Is he an accountant or bookkeeper? "Oh, no, he's a mechanic."
Yeah.
I go, "What? I can't fix a car, so I'm going to tell you how to change a carburetor. But if you can deduct it, I'm probably going to know the answer more than your mechanic uncle."
But his mechanic uncle has an accountant that's doing it for him.
That's right, doing cash dodgies, no doubt.
That's it.
Well, that's all for today at Booking the Beano. We'll be back soon with another episode. So until then, stay accurate.
Bye.